yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience for your love with the cold hard hatred.
Servus, hi, hello. My name is Ivan Sumovichevich, and I'm glad to introduce you to the latest and greatest season of SCUM Season 9. For new viewers, you might be asking yourself, what is SCUM? Well, SCUM is the latest and greatest TV shows to ever grace any platform in history ever. It is a massively successful show full of drama, comedy, and everything else in between. But what exactly is it, and how is it even possible? Well, you know those degenerates that hurt your families, hurt your children, kill people, and all of the above? Well, instead of letting them rot in a prison cell and waste taxpayer dollars, Tech1 Corporation has decided to put these people to use. Basically, we drop them onto an island and say, survive, motherfucker, we don't care. I hope that the latest season of SCUM has been quite the entertainment for you. I know that watching those degenerates going and crawling through those abandoned bunkers really tickled my jimmies last time I watched it. It was a very, very great experience. Tech1 Corporation is not in any way, shape, or form responsible for bodily harm, death, injury, any, what is this? Mental anguish? Don't know what that means exactly. It's not responsible for any of that because it is in the individual's own choice to commit a crime that could get them potentially into the SCUM Island in and of itself. In any case, I'm going to be giving it away now to our official spokesperson, who is going to be explaining in detail what this program is. I am here merely as a representative, and I am here only to politely make sure that our spokesperson is aware that if any and all information about anything pertaining to some BCU modules gets leaked. I would like to thank everybody for this disclaimer, and I would like to thank everybody that supported the show, and please enjoy the rest of it. Huh. Was there a glitch in my camera just a few seconds ago? Anyway. Yeah, today we're talking about SCUM, Servus by the way, and what better way to show you what SCUM is than to just jump in and play it. Of course, we need to create our character first, and we're gonna create our character with maximum melanin, naturally, giving them that peak freshness haircut. Oh, that's nice. And then we're of course gonna give him that fancy 80s cop porn stash. Yeah, I'm 9 years old. This character, of course, needs a name. We're of course gonna name him Balasim. After we're done with our character, I won't bore you with the stats. I'll explain them a little bit later. We jump straight in. Literally. Well, get thrown in, but what's really the difference anyway? But you fall out of somewhere. The game never really shows where. But why? Class is in session. Quiet in the back. So here's a quick demonstration of how this corporate greed shit with the Tech1 Corporation works. You have a company, let's say Apple, for instance, and then you have their local government, which in this case happens to be the US government. So Apple and the US government have to function off of each other, right? Because laws have to be abided by, information has to flow freely, and let's say if somebody gets lost or there's a murder incident, Apple can freely just give their information over to the government if the government requests it and there is some legal shenanigans that would allow the government to do that, because Apple takes its security very seriously. Makes sense? Makes sense. The Tech1 Corporation is kind of the same. They have products, they have various apps, I'm assuming, and they basically do the same thing. But here is the kicker. What if some company that's maybe not Apple or Google or whichever other company gets so rich, so powerful that it can basically lobby out and buy out all of the judges, all of the people in there, all of the government officials, and basically create a puppet state because they have so much goddamn money and everybody will want the money. Imagine that happening ever. After understanding all of that, it should seem a little bit strange to you that every other character that you create has been in prison for arson, of all things. Is that really true? Or is that the Tech1 Corporation being a little bit funky? I don't know. Alright, enough memes. Let's get down to brass tacks. For now, we have to talk about the beginning of the game. So just like in any survival game, you start out completely scuffed. You just have to use your big brain, rub two fucking neurons together, and you can realize that rock next to big bush and rock useful. Go do caveman oonga boonga brain stuff. Smash other rock together with bigger rock, like I smashed your mama's ass cheeks last night. And you get pointy sharp rock. You use pointy sharp rock to make rope, and you turn big stick into small stick, and then you cut that again and you make a bow, and you get the gist. You make a knife, you make an axe, you make a bow. Strip naked. And I mean that. Strip naked now. You have to sacrifice some of your clothing in order to make yourself at least a courier backpack. I strongly advise you to do this, otherwise you will be completely lost because you won't have enough space to put anything anywhere. I would highly recommend you cutting up your undershirt and both your socks and your underwear. You can combine all those items together, including with rope, and you can get yourself a courier backpack, which will give you your arrow slot, which is incredibly important, at least in my opinion. You want a melee weapon, the axe, and you want a ranged weapon, the bow. Those are the essentials in order to survive your trip into the city.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that great.
So, you just got in the city with your brand new bow and your brand new arrows, and you're all excited, and oh my god, what is that? Is that a zomb? I believe it's a zomb. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it with fire! Now you did that for your first time. You probably got scratched up a bit, you probably got bitten a few times. It's fine, don't worry about it. You're just gonna have to do that for about 20 plus hours, give or take. Just walking around between cities, just killing zombies, looting cities, that's all, that sort of thing. Yeah, your first game is gonna be extremely boring after a while, and extremely interesting in some cases. But that's pretty much the whole loop. And here is where I come to my first problem. So the game so far has been fantastic. You've crafted, you've looted, you've killed, you've had a great time. Here is problem number one that I believe is a very big problem in this game. Transportation. The roads between cities are incredibly long, and cities are very sparsely put apart, which makes sense. Which means that you have to run between cities in order to get loot because it doesn't respawn that fast, right? Which is fine. You have auto run. You can just keep running for miles. The problem comes in with these fucknuts. These fucking wandering zombies, as I like to call them, are everywhere. And you could be doing whatever the hell you want out in the middle of the goddamn forest, not a city for literal kilometers, and there will be a zombie, or more accurately, 2 or 3 zombies out there on your journey. You guys suck. You guys suck so hard. I love this game. I love the realism in this game. But sometimes it just drives me insane. I mean, I can understand it. Somebody was just picking mushrooms when they turned into a zombie. But that won't make sense once I explain the story to you. In any case, I believe that these wandering zombies should be removed for the game. Or at least put into a location that makes more sense. Like the forest immediately outside of the city. At least, having them straight up in the middle of goddamn nowhere, on like a coastline where no cities are even close, or on an island where there is no city to begin with, just have a zombie wandering over there, that's bullshit. And yeah, walking. You'll be doing a lot of that. You'll also be doing a lot of looting. And after that, more walking. You found a car, oh my god, great! You can repair it, it's in good condition. You just need a few spare tires and an alternator. And maybe a battery. Great! Guess what comes after that? More walking. Because you saw a car with a couple of spare parts that you could use in the city that you left about 10 hours ago. You're praying to God right now that it's still there, right? Yeah, so was I. If for whatever reason you think I'm joking, I really am not. The clip that you're watching right now comes in at around 40 minutes long. That's 40 minutes of me carrying a seat from one town to the next because I need it to repair my car. If you just want to shoot some zombies in the face I suggest you go play something else. But if you like that risk versus reward gameplay such as DayZ, Rust, and so on and so forth, I highly recommend giving this game a shot. Because the risk versus reward factor is cranked up to 11, especially in the newer versions where they're gonna add like futuristic guards to the bunker, you know, entrances. That's only gonna make it harder. And that feeling of being decked out in armor, having guns, and having all of your valuable loot on you, and knowing that you could lose it with one bullet to the head, is so goddamn entertaining and so nail-biting that I cannot recommend it enough. Also, I forgot to mention, if you want to repair anything, you're gonna need the car jack to do it. So if you don't find one somewhere in the city, fuck you. Right, where was I? Oh yeah, I remember. If you want my advice for this stage of the game, what you should probably be doing is making a rotation, or a ROTA. So basically, it works like this, okay? You go to a city, you get that good shit. You go into another city, and you get that good shit. If it took you 1 hour to loot the second city, when you go back to the first one, the loot will have respawned because there's roughly a 1 hour respawn timer. If you want even better advice, go to one of the coastal cities because finding a fully repaired boat is much easier than repairing your own car and carrying it all over the map, right? And just make a coastal rotation. Thank me later. Oh my god, I just noticed my character. Boy looks fucking awesome. Unless you're on a multiplayer server, in which case you'll be loud, in which case... ROTA, 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 ROTA. Now, I would personally define as when you get a vehicle of any kind, basically, except the bicycle. Once you get a vehicle up and running, car, boat, whatever, you are in mid-game. And of course, in mid-game, we have to talk about fucking guns! So, you want guns. But where do you get them? Well, your usual answer would be in the school, but hold on, these are not American schools. So, no luck there. You want to go all the way over to these military bases. These military bases are insane. They have huge fucking, I don't know what is this, 12-foot fucking robots guarding the entrances. Not just the entrances, but the entire perimeter around the thing. But inside these militaristic zones, you will find everything from camouflage to guns, to ammo, to clips, or magazines, I should say, before fucking Moist Critical comes at me calling me a dummy. But there's of course one big problem. Those huge fuck off robots over there. Okay, these sentries are seriously no joke. Scheisse. Their wide arsenal includes tear gas, and if that didn't succeed in making you blind, they also have flashbangs, you know, for good measure. 50 caliber machine pistols on each hand that can quite easily shred the meat from your bones. A fucking machine gun or automatic weapon, whatever you call that, it just goes brrrr. A goddamn flamethrower if you get close enough. And if all of that somehow was not enough to kill you, they'll just use their giant laser cannon and vaporize you instead. Oh, I'm gonna get blasted with the laser. Great. Any one of these things could be described as incredibly loud, which means that every wandering zombie in the vicinity will just come along and say hi. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, they're non-hostile towards zombies. So even in an area loaded with these death machines, you still have to contend with zombies. But how could we possibly make it even more annoying and ridiculous? Exploding zombies. There he goes. If you hear laughing like that, you need to fucking get out of Dodge. That thing's gonna explode in your face and it's not gonna be a good time. Listen, I'm aware that in the beginning of this video, I said that this game is very, very fun. And with every passing minute, it seems less and less so. But it should be noted that this video is entertainment first, and that I'm most likely autistic, or at the very least have ADHD. So everything I say should be taken with a grain of salt. So, how do you get around these big fuck-off robots? They're incredibly fucking stupid. If you go behind them, they won't really see you, and their hearing isn't the best, so they can't really pinpoint your location if you're being really fucking sneaky enough. They can see only like this, right? Taking them head on is worthless and pointless. Do not even attempt it. Sneak around them. And if you do manage to get caught, here's a sneaky little trick. I believe if you hit F4 on your keyboard, as they say, I am RoboCop, please stop in the name of the law.
Fuck you!
If you do that, your character will put up his hands and thereby making him a non-threat. After that, the robot will politely ask you to fuck off into the nearest shrubbery, and if you do that, he will now become alert. Now, pay attention to this because this will help you out immensely. If the robots have white eyes, or white lamps, I guess you could call them, they are in a state of indifference, I guess you could call it. Not hostile to anybody, not gonna kill you, not gonna do anything, as long as you stay out of their way. If your lights are yellow, then that means danger. You can only do that trick where you surrender and put your hands up when they have white eyes. When they have yellow eyes, they will shoot on sight, regardless of what character you are or whatever else happens. If they see a player, they will start shooting. This is especially valuable in multiplayer because if you see a robot with yellow eyes, you know somebody has been there, and you know that robot will not fucking hesitate to shoot you in the face if you come too close. And if the robot's eyes happen to be red, you're fucked. Good luck. Your only options are to A, run away, and B, crawl over and die. Now, if it wasn't obvious, yes, this is absolutely insane. And yes, this game was made by the Croatians.
Ćao, brate, tvrdim da želite imati tešku i realističnu igru, a molim vas, dajte nam barem malo prostora za disanje. Ne tražim veliko, ali bar nešto malo da dišem i da ni svega odjednom. Ali reći ću, sve što ste napravili sa oružjem je chef's kiss. My compliments to the 3D designers on that one. And yes, I hope you enjoyed that, because I'm gonna continue talking absolute nonsense gibberish. Enjoy.
Vi ste mislili da se zabavam, ala? Jaz sem govoril slovensko, kaj da bom jaz govoril slovensko, zato ko lahko in noben od vas ne more reči drugače. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably shouldn't, because then the editor, namely me, is gonna have to put in a bunch of subtitles. I'm just gonna save myself the headache. Anyway, yeah, the militaristic zones and the police stations are gonna be your best mid-game option in order to get guns relatively quickly. Police stations, while safer, need lockpicks and screwdrivers in order for you to get the guns out of the gun cabinet, along with the fact that they're just blocked off. Certain types of guns you just won't find in a police station. So you can get all the way up to shotgun tier, but not much more than that. Whereas in a militaristic zone, you can find anything from camo equipment to weapon attachments to your 50th pair of gloves and your 150th beanie of the day.
My mommy said if you don't give me those guns, she's gonna take away your secondary processing unit.
You can also find these sort of like encampments around the map. They're like these little hunting outposts where you can find the hunter rifle and bows and what is it, the forgetting the name of it.
Called the crossbow.
I forget the name of it. You also have these cargo drops which rain down from the heavens every so often and show the Tech One Corporation's incredible generosity. These give some of the best value loot. They also require lockpicks and so on and so forth. And they don't just offer firearms, they also give you like woodcutting equipment, tools, survival equipment, food, drinks, all that sort of stuff, even medical equipment. Any of the high valued items and any of the endgame items can be found in these cargo drops. These cargo drops are incredibly valuable and worth going towards. Pick them up every time you can and every time you get a chance. Unless you're in multiplayer, in which case I can guarantee you, you're gonna get gunned down very quickly unless you're prepared.
Oh yeah, by the way, when the timer in the back there hits 0, the whole thing blows up.
And speaking of firearms, what are your options? Well, you got your block, which is the Glock.
Oh my god, really?
You got your SMGs to these nuts. You got your 420, 360 no-scopers all the way to your science little pistols that go every time you shoot. You are quite frankly spoiled for choice when it comes to guns. There are a lot of guns in here, and as I mentioned before in the nonsense gibberish part of the video, what they have done with the guns is very, very good. The gunplay in this game is stellar. It is superb. Honestly, some of the best I've ever seen. It could use some improvements, right? It's not like god tier level of gunplay, but it's very, very good. One of the better parts and one of the more robust parts of the game.
What I mean by this is that the fact that you have to load each and every bullet in by hand. They also don't disappear magically. When you press reload, you have to either take them out or put new ones in. You also have to sometimes find custom rails because some guns just don't come with a rail to put on a scope or any other attachments for that matter. Your ammo count is not shown anywhere. You either have to press Shift R or take your magazine out of the gun and then manually inspect it. All of these mechanics put together make every firefight incredibly intense. Do you have enough ammo in your magazine in order to survive your next encounter? Should you reload? Should you take some time and maybe load up some other magazines for ammo? But if you do that, you're gonna be left open and vulnerable to an attack. I'm dead. I'm fuck. In this world, there are but two certainties. The first is death. I'm dead. Oh no. And the second one is monetary funds, liquid assets, and glorious, glorious capitalism.
So you've probably seen it a couple of times going through this video. Every time you die, you have to pay a fee. Because of course you do. The Tech One Corporation is generous, but it's not that generous. Anything in this game can be sold, down from your tidy-whities all the way to the highest caliber of firearm weaponry. Which is part of the reason why we are risking our lives in order to go into these dangerous areas. Because we want, number one, the weaponry to defend ourselves, but number two, any duplicates we find, we can sell off to the merchants, which are here. You can sell all of those items off and get money, liquid assets.
So basically, man, you need the lead to make the bread, and you need the bread for everything else. Oh, fuck. Woohoo! Oh, I'm never gonna financially recover from this. Well, how am I gonna explain this one to the insurance company?
These you can then later on put into a bank.
Welcome to the most secure place on the island.
But why would you want to put them in a bank? Well, when you die, all of your items are gone, including the money and the credit card that your character had. But all the money in the bank stays, meaning that if you do die, and you inevitably will die, all of your money stays in the bank. So all you have to do is just go to a merchant and then buy some of your equipment back.
Also, let's not forget, you can buy some fat drip with that cash.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Pretty simple, right? Where's the catch? There's always a catch. Of course there's a catch. Come on. Did you see the rest of this video? I mean, come on, man. The catch is this, right? Fame points. I have a big gripe with fame points. Think Hunger Game rules, right? The more stuff you do right, the more daring stuff you do, the more wild gymnastics you perform, the higher your fame score will be. If your fame score is too low, most of the items in the merchant shop are just locked off to you and you can't buy them until you increase your fame score. How do you increase your fame score? Well, that's the right that I have. The game tells you that every time you survive and kill zombies and defend yourself, that's when you get fame points. That's what you're doing throughout the whole course of the game, so why is the fame score going up so low? Yeah, right now, as of recording this, the only real way to increase your fame score quickly is with an incredibly long shot with either a bow or a crossbow. That'll give you 10 fame points. Or you can also use a sniper rifle, and I believe 1,000 yards, that'll give you 5 fame points. That is the only viable way, otherwise it just increases naturally. And it takes so much time. In one of the earlier versions of the game, you could just kill one zombie and get 1 fame point. Why was that removed? I don't understand. There just is no clear direction on how you're supposed to get these fame points, and you really need them. In any case, I hope that the fame points get fixed, or at least buffed in some sort of way to make it easier to get those fame points, or at least in a way that makes sense. Because right now, it doesn't. You can also exchange all of your money for gold, which is just an exchange between cash and gold. It's kind of pointless, really. The only real use for it is that you can only go and respawn at your base with gold. That is the only way. Otherwise, you just have to either pick a sector or at random. Valuable in multiplayer, I'm sure, but in single player, just pick the sector and run towards your base or your car or whatever you have. Not really that big a deal. But why even any of this? Why do we have to pay to respawn? How does that even work? Why are we even here to begin with? What is this place? What is going on here? What is all these weird facilities? And why are these giant robots guarding any of it? Well, this is the part of the video where I explain the story.
There isn't much of a story in Scum, mostly because it hasn't been implemented yet, but from context clues alone, we can paint a pretty gruesome picture of what actually happened on the island. For a start, the abandoned buildings are evidence that people definitely used to live here before our arrival, and now they just resemble something straight up out of the Chernobyl exclusion zone. The most likely scenario here is that the Tech1 Corporation bought off the island and used it for testing purposes, thereby displacing all of its inhabitants. Now, at some point, something went wrong. Either an experiment gone awry or some sort of budget cuts, whatever the case may be, the Tech1 Corporation was forced to remove itself from the island and install its own private military, which I'm assuming that they do have. My theory goes like this. The Tech1 Corporation was testing out technologies for militaristic purposes, but to also uncover, the secret of eternal life, which eventually created these puppets, as they're known in the game. Everything lost, all the research practically useless or destroyed, you have no other option but to cut your losses, wall it off, and call it a day. I mean, there was such a large incentive to get off of the island as fast as possible that they just left all their weapons and ammunition behind. Now, somewhere at some point, somebody at the Tech1 Corporation realized that, hey, maybe this island wasn't such a huge loss after all. And what was their idea, you ask? Well, you can see it right here. Send in a bunch of prisoners that are definitely in prison for valid reasons, and put in a bunch of drones to film everything. And that is how the Scum TV show was born. And it was so goddamn successful that you almost forgot about those guns. And they weren't that big of a deal, just install huge towering robots to defend them. And heck, if the prisoners somehow manage to even find those weapons, they're just gonna end up shooting each other. So that even creates more incentive for the Tech1 Corporation to just keep milking this cow dry. I mean, there's practically no way the prisoners can get out of their situation even if they tried really hard. Okay, there's no Tech1 lackeys looking at me right now, but I have to be quick. You see those chips at the back of the players' heads? Yeah, those chips are what's keeping the players alive. That is the technology that they were testing. Every time a player dies and they do not have enough money in order to resurrect themselves, those chips can start puppeteering the corpse that was left behind. That's why they're called puppets. And every time a player dies, they just rip the chip out and install it onto some other cadaver. And voila, they're back good as new. I'm not supposed to be telling you any of this, but I had to. Because God knows what else they're doing behind their closed doors that they don't want anybody to hear about or see. If they can do this with a simple chip, just imagine what they're capable of. Oh shit, gotta go. Okay, so I know this video is getting pretty long and I don't want to take up much more of your time, but I just have to talk about this part of the game because it is honestly where the game shines the most. In short, you have two types of bunkers. There is the regular bunkers and then there is the abandoned ones. And in the abandoned bunkers is where the game gets insanely anxiety-inducing, putting you in such claustrophobic halls that you have to sneak through, otherwise you're just gonna get stabbed to death very, very quickly. And I'm not going to spoil almost any part of it, just because I want you guys to experience the bunker for yourselves. Just this part of the game alone is enough to warrant a purchase. Very few games cause the lean. You know what the lean is. Everybody knows what the lean is, and this game, when you're in the bunkers, this game causes the lean. I mean, just look at this video that my girlfriend took of me while I was playing this part of the game. That, right there, is me using 100% focus. And when I eventually do complete it,
I'm safe!
brought to you by the Tech1 Corporation.
Well, wasn't that just a peak of entertainment there, wasn't it? I hope it was at least as entertaining for you as it was for me. And a special thank you to the Tech1 Corporation. Such a shame. Such a blasted shame. You know, all these young people going and dying for no reason just because they piss off the wrong people? I mean, come on. What does a corporation gotta do to get some good help around these days? Gets me every time, man. Hello again. You just can't get rid of me, can you? I hope you guys enjoyed this absolutely ass video that I made, as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope it gave you a good chuckle, I hope it gave you a good laugh, and I hope you got some entertainment value out of it. There were obviously a lot of things that I didn't get to talk about because they were either not going to make the cut or they just, you know, didn't fit anywhere. Like the loading bar, which is such a minor problem, but it still ends up breaking your immersion every time you see it, and you see it every time you loot a box. Why? But I ended up deciding on not to be too harsh on the game because it's still in early access and they are fixing things and they are adding things almost like every other week. I see a bug fix patch or some other improvement patch. And in the recent update, they somewhat fixed the UI. It's not quite there yet, but it's much better. They also added some like tutorial things on the side, which do help for newer players to get into the game. Then there's also the metabolism system, which I just did not find a space in the video to put it in. And it would just end up making the video like 15 more minutes long just because there's that much detail in the metabolism itself. Like, when you get wounded in this game, you don't just magically put on a bandage and it heals. No, like everything else, it has to be incredibly realistic and you actually have to wait for your wounds to stabilize. Otherwise, they'll open back up and you're gonna start bleeding all over the place again. Then there's every vitamin on the planet that you have to micromanage and take care of. If you have too many of a certain thing, it can cause problems. You can even eat too much in this game and just die that way. Your stomach will burst. There's a lot of detail in the metabolism systems and in the stats systems that it would have made the video way longer than it needed to be. And also, you guys can experience that for yourself. There's even a thing that happened that I sadly did not record where I died because I got an infection from getting hit by zombies a lot. And what I didn't realize is that if I took off my heavy clothing, that would have helped to prevent my wounds from being infected. And I was running around the map trying to find either antibiotics or garlic, because garlic has antiseptic properties and would have cleared the infection, and antibiotics do the same thing, but they're just much harder to find. So I died because I couldn't find garlic. That is ridiculous. But yeah. Like I said before, I hope you had a fantastic time watching this video, and I hope you had a fantastic set of holidays. Have/had, depending on when you watch it. When you watch this video, stay tuned for the next video that I decide to post, whatever bullshit that may be. And as always, take care of yourself, have a good one, and servus. Also, YouTube, the gun used in this video was not a real gun. It was a BB gun. So, please, no hurty me, thank you. Alright, roll outro.